I was at the park when a mute boy secretly handed me a note. When I was 10 years old, there was this boy at the park I always saw. He couldn't speak, but we always sat together and shared each other's Play-Doh. One afternoon, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. He pressed it into my hand quickly, almost like he was scared, and I instantly knew he wanted me to keep it a secret. But when I read it, I was extremely confused. Inside was just a bunch of random letters. I was just about to ask him what the heck did he just give me, but that's when his mom started walking towards us. And what happened next made my stomach drop. He grabbed the note out of my hands and shoved it into his mouth. It was like he was trying to hide it. When his mom was standing beside us, she smiled ear to ear, but it wasn't the nice kind of smile. "Are you kids having fun?" she asked with a clenched jaw. Something about her gave me the heebie-jeebies, so I didn't even mention the note. I just nodded and avoided eye contact. When she finally walked back to her bench, I stared at the mute boy. The second his mom wasn't looking anymore, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward a quieter part of the park behind some trees. My heart was pounding because I had no idea what was happening. He reached into his pocket again, but this time it was to pull out a small photo. It was a picture of himself, but he was sticking his tongue out in it. "Why can't you just write down what you're trying to say?" 10-year-old me asked, getting impatient. He covered my mouth as if to tell me to shut the F up, so I stayed quiet and kept watching him. He pointed at his tongue sticking out in the photo, and then pointed at his own mouth. When he saw that I still wasn't getting it, he opened his mouth wide. I looked inside his mouth and giggled because I felt like a dentist, but what I saw made me sick. His tongue wasn't normal. It was short and jagged, like something had happened to it. Then he raised his hand and made a slow snipping motion with his fingers, like scissors cutting. Suddenly, everything made sense. He was trying to tell me that someone had cut off his tongue. That's why he couldn't speak. That's why he was always silent. Someone had done this to him on purpose. Wah! I instantly started screaming, crying. I couldn't help it. The tears just came pouring out because I was 10 years old, and I had just discovered something so horrible that my brain didn't know how to process it. That's when I heard it. Thump, thump, thump. Footsteps behind us. His mom was walking over quickly, and my dad was right behind her. She had this look on her face, like she knew something was wrong. She grabbed the boy's arm and started pulling him away, saying they needed to go home. But I couldn't let that happen. I grabbed my dad's hand and started screaming, "Don't let her take him! She's evil!" My dad looked at me and tried to keep his voice calm. "What happened?" "Daddy, she's evil!" I repeated, pointing at his mom. "Someone cut off his tongue. He gave me a note, but it didn't make sense, but I think he's trying to tell me his mom cut his tongue off." My dad immediately turned serious. "Where's the note?" he asked in a voice so calm it scared me. The mom laughed nervously, still trying to drag the mute boy away, but my dad came between them, and he wouldn't let her take him home. The boy took the note out of his pocket and handed it to my dad. My dad unfolded it carefully, and I watched his face change. Somehow he understood exactly what the boy was trying to say, because he pulled out his phone and called the police on the mom. The mom got all up in my dad's face and screamed, "You don't know what you're doing! This is my son! You need to F off!" But my dad was an ex-veteran, and he was used to looking evil in the eye, so he just stood there completely calm. When the cops arrived, they ran the boy's description through their system. It turned out he had been reported as a missing persons case 3 years earlier. His real family had been searching for him this whole time, and they thought he was dead. My dad later told me what was in the note. Turns out, the letters weren't gibberish. The boy had written it in a code that only made sense when you read it a certain way. 4 words: "This isn't my mom."